Hey, Captain Norm back here. I think we're actually hooked up here. Yep, we got one on the line. As every fisherman loves to say, fish on. Fishing on the bottom, you never know what you're going to catch. Sometimes it's croaker, sometimes it's halibut, sharks, rays. And we got us a halibut. Oh, I lied. Shovelnose. Okay, somehow this guy managed to tail wrap himself.
Oh, it's a little bottom. Oh,
It's Shovelnose.
Shovelnose. He got caught in the.
Come on, give it back. Where are they?
Do you catch everything on that list?
On the list?
Yeah, they say there's a list of fish and don't eat these.
You know, personally, I wouldn't eat anything out of these waters here, regardless. I'm all about catch and release.
Yeah, so
You know,
are we.
so regardless if this would have been a little fish like this,
Yeah.
Right?
or if it would have been a 30-inch halibut, I'd still let it go.
Yeah.
I can't get these to open, so I'm gonna. Now I got my finger stuck there. Let's try this again. Come on, give it back. The sooner you give it back, the sooner you go back.
He probably just doesn't want an audience while you're doing surgery.
Well, maybe not.
Have a good day.
You also, thank you. Alrighty, there we go. Once again, very, very small shovelnose guitarfish. We're gonna let this guy go. And he's gone. And as predicted, he bit the bottom dropper, which is closer to the bottom. And that's the reason I fished the open eye, open gap hook, is for when those fish with the larger mouths come around, they can actually get a good bite in on there. So I'm going to go ahead and rebait this real fast, get it back out there, and see if we can get us another one. And oh shoot, this is only on live TV. Okay, let's go ahead and get these baits in the water, and we'll keep an eye on the on our sliding egg sinker rig. Okay, you may have noticed I also went ahead and I freshened up the bait that was on the top hook. Whenever possible, you always want to throw fresh baits out. So it's a good idea that whenever you reel in, always rebait with some fresh bait and then get it back out there. The egg sinker rig can be false leading because it doesn't really sink into the bottom, but what it does is it rolls around, and sometimes that rolling can be mistaken for a bite. And I'm getting ready to actually bring it in just to check the bait on there because it did fool me a couple times already. I am getting a little bit low on mackerel, and so if need be, I'll go ahead and drop the sabiki down again. I'm probably going to be tipping it with mackerel this time instead of the chicken, only because the mackerel will stay on the hook a little bit better.
Yeah, it works.
And like I said, you only need a piece about the size of your small fingernail on those hooks. Anyway, that was fun. So, where are we at? 1 jack smelt, 2.5 mackerel, and a shovelnose guitarfish. Now, that was probably the smallest guitarfish I have ever caught. Normally off the pier, they'll run about 18 inches, maybe even up to 3 feet. However, there have been species caught that were up pushing the 4 foot plus mark. And there actually are some channels out there about people who catch, clean, and cook the guitarfish or the shovelnose. Another thing worth mentioning on the pier is that you do not need a fishing license. These were basically put here for the public. As long as you stay on the pier and do not go down into the sand, you are perfectly legal to fish. Once again, 2 poles, which is why my sabiki rig is not in the water, and only underhand casting, which is why I actually went out to Walmart and purchased these 2 spinning reels. These are an Okuma rod and reel combination. They're rated at medium to medium heavy. They're 9 feet in length. The pole comes in 2 pieces for easy transport. And sit down for this one. They only cost $35 a piece. Correct. On the sliding sinker rig, the reason I pull it back so slowly is because I actually want it to drag the bottom. That's a little trick with halibut fishing, is that you can either bounce the bottom with your weight if you're out in a boat, or if you're on a pier, you drag the weight through the sand, and then that slow moving bait behind there will get spanked by the halibut. See, I don't know if that's actually my weight just rolling on the bottom, or if it's actually a fish that's on the end of the line. This really is not the best spot for halibut or sharks or rays. If I was targeting that species, I would actually be heading back in to the surf zone, basically anywhere between where the waves are breaking to where the waves are first starting to set. That would also be a prime area to catch perch. They seem to like the shallower water. My reason for coming this far down is twofold. Number one, this is where Felix and I always fished, so I have to pay tribute to that. And number two, the mackerel are usually found towards the end of the pier, and the smelt are more common, you know, basically the length of the pier on top. And I'm getting ready to actually bring in my sliding rig, just because the bait's been soaking for so long. I don't know if there's been any action on there or not. So what I'm going to go ahead and do right now is go ahead and just tip off the sabiki rig with some more little pieces of mackerel. I'm going to catch another mackerel and then rebait the dropper rig. And we got one on the dropper loop. And fish on. It's not much of a fight, so I guess we could rule out the halibut. Okay, this one's a little stingray. And the reason I can identify this as a stingray right away is because it does not have the thorns on the back that would identify it as a thornback skate, but rather this one is very smooth. I guess lately these things, it may not be lately, it could have been 100 years ago, but I think the nickname for this particular ray is a pancake. Unfortunately, this little guy swallowed the hook, so rather than tear him apart and try to force that hook out, which is going to do a lot of internal damage, I'm going to cut the line. The hook is actually going to rust out within a couple days, so at least he's going back to his environment. He just needs to put up with that little hook in his mouth for a little while, and once again it's just going to rust right out and he'll be back to normal again. So there he is, guys. Little stingray, a round stingray is what these are officially called. He does have a stinger, so you got to be careful with him, but I want to get him back in the water so he can live to fight on another day. The nice thing with the dropper loops are, in case you do have to cut off. And which one was that? That was the bottom. I think that was my bottom one. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the... Oh, I lost them. Really? Okay, I don't know where it went. But anyway, oh, there they are. Yay! So these are the hooks on the bottom. You can see the kind of wide gap that's in them. And these right here are Eagle Claw, size 6. Actually didn't have to cut the line. One of the most important things when you're fishing is if ever you get little trailers or trailings of monofilament like this, never throw it in the water, never leave it on the pier, always put it in a proper receptacle, either a trash can or in my case I toss it in my wagon so that I can clean out when I get home, and that way it doesn't wind up in the ocean. Okay, the dropper rig is ready to go, but rather than throw it back in, I'm going to go ahead and bait up the sabiki and try to catch us another mackerel for bait. Once again, I only catch what I intend on using, and that way there's going to be enough sustained fish for the next generation. Seal Beach is one of those piers where I would not keep anything that I did catch, and the reason for that is it's sitting in very brackish waters. It's inside of a break wall, so there's really not a lot of water flow. And without that water flow, it really allows for the water to get dirty. There's also a lot of industry around here. Wilmington, big refinery. We're right next to the port of Long Beach, which is the busiest port on the West Coast, if not in the entire United States. Don't quote me on that, but it's huge and there is a lot of boat traffic. So with the sabiki, I'm just going to drop it down to the bottom. I'm going to step back a little so you can kind of see what I'm doing. As soon as I hit the bottom, I'm just going to jig it and we'll see you when we get a mackerel on. Oh, we're on with, whoa. Well, there you go, guys. 4 at a time. Okay, just like before, one decided to return himself to the sea. This was the largest of the mackerels that came up. So I'm gonna let this guy go so he can go reproduce and make many more catches for the future fishermen.
You guys are gonna jump off? Yes, sir. I want to see.
These two smaller ones are going to be our bait. We just had 2 lifeguards jump off the pier over here. Not an emergency, just lifeguard training. I think that has to be one of their qualifications because of the lifeguard tower that's here, is they have to learn how to jump off a pier. Okay, we got our bait. Once again, sabiki rig is going away. And I'm going to go ahead and cut up the smaller mackerel and get the other lines in the water. I'm also going to pull in my my sliding rig and put a fresh bait on there, so you guys don't need to watch that. I'll get back with you when we actually get another fish on the line.